Welcome to Character Explorations, a podcast production of the Wendt Center for Character Education at the University of Dubuque. I'm Annalee Ward, the director of the Wendt Center, and our guest today is Dr. Molly Hein, Assistant Professor of Business. She is the author of the article Social Influencers, FOMO and Identity Crisis. This article is available online at dbq.edu/WENDT. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about your article. You wrote this article for the journal issue Character and Crisis. But your opening examples seem more part of daily living than a crisis. Would you tell us about those examples and the concerns that they began to raise for you?
Yes. So I use some different examples of today. I think anyone, if you're scrolling through social media, you'll see different examples of influencers and things that they're doing. And there are some examples that can really hit home because they relate to, I used Auschwitz because that was such a horrible time and we're all familiar with it. And those images just really captivated me when I would see people standing on the railroad tracks that meant such horrible things to people and still do today. And they would just throw it off as, I just want to take a picture and post it on social media with the thought that they were being empathetic because they would say, I'm here today at Auschwitz and remembering loved ones, but they weren't really grasping the horrific impact it might have on people that had a connection to that.
Did you have any other examples that you saw as you...
Yes, I did.
That raised these concerns for you?
Yes, there are just so many different examples of people doing the one of a person that was licking taco shells. Why would we lick taco shells and put it online? There was another trend going around where people would actually go into the grocery store and open up a lid of ice cream, take a lick, and then put it back. And that is something that just, when they post this, first of all, to even think to do those things and then to post it on social media to encourage others to do it is very disturbing.
I'll say. So yeah, I can see where you're starting to wonder what's going on. Well, maybe we ought to define some of the terms that you use right away. What is a social influencer?
To me, a social influencer is someone that has a large media following and they're choosing to post online. Social media, it's different things. Instagram, now we've got TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all kinds of different pieces of social media out there. And so a social influencer is someone that's choosing to share things online. An influencer becomes someone once they get a large following.
Okay. Well, who are the influencers typically?
Influencers would be a couple of different categories. First, we have our celebrities. And celebrities typically gain a large following on social media, whether they want to or not, just because of who they are. And then you have people that typically start off as unknowns, but because of different things that they do and post, they gain large followings, and that turns them into a social influencer.
Then you also write about FOMO. What is that?
FOMO stands for the fear of missing out.
Okay. Fear of missing out truly does influence us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Sometimes we just get so caught up in wanting to fit in that I think we fail to consider the implications that our actions might have on others, especially when we're sharing content on social media platforms where we don't necessarily know the perspectives and experiences of those who are seeing our posts.
And that's a great reminder for us, not only in terms of the media we take in, but what we put out, because we're content producers too. So thanks for that reminder that we have a responsibility there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's unpack this phenomenon a bit more as we ask, why do people want to keep up with the Kardashians, so to speak? You mentioned that even the Kardashians have FOMO. And what's going on there? Why do we want to do this?
I think we just have such a longing to belong. We want to feel like we're a part of something. And I've read that we are most like the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. And I think that can also be the people we follow on social media as well. We become and conform to the people that we're following and watching.
You've personalized this issue with your examples. Can you share how social influencers have impacted your daughter, for example?
Yes. My daughter, Halloween is one of her favorite holidays, and 2 years ago, she really enjoyed the movie I Still Believe. It was about Jeremy Camp's first wife who ended up passing away from cancer. And after watching the movie, it just had such an impact on her. And she said that it changed her life for the better and just really strengthened her belief. And so she wanted to dress up as Melissa for Halloween just to portray someone that she thought was such an amazing character and person and a beautiful soul. So she asked me if she could be Melissa Camp for Halloween, and that's what she did. Fast forward a year later, and she's watching YouTube a little bit more. She doesn't really do any other social media, but she does watch YouTube. And she came across an influencer named Tsunami. And that's Tsunami with a TX. And what she came to me then and said, Mom, I want to be Tsunami for Halloween next year. I did a little bit of research, and Tsunami has a parent account, but it's lots of different posts of Tsunami. And I just didn't feel like that was someone my daughter should want to portray, because it was a person that was really just all about themselves in a way, because they were posting pictures of themselves. There was really no content there, where Melissa Camp had such a story and it was all about belief and confirming those beliefs. Tsunami was more of a beautiful little girl that had pictures posted of herself.
So what did she respond if you didn't want her to do this? Did she change her mind, or?
Well, first I had to do some research because I didn't even know who this was. And, she gave me the look like, okay, Mom, how do you not know who this is? I did a little research, and then I asked her why. Why do you want to be this person? Because the year before she had such a deep answer for wanting to be Melissa, and she had no response. She did not know why she wanted to be this person.
Which exemplifies the challenge that we're beginning to face more and more if we're just attracted to these people online because they're pretty or they're present. Yeah, it is a problem, and a growing problem. Well, you mentioned that scholars have identified at least 3 reasons why social influencers have such an impact on us. Could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes. I would say there are 3 key reasons why social influencers have an impact on us. And the first one is that we just want to conform to the cultural norms. So we want to be like what we see. All those things that are out there and being portrayed. We have that fear of missing out. We don't want to miss out. It's what we're seeing regularly, so it's what we want to do. The second one is a belief that we have power and control over our choices, which we actually do have power and control over our choices. However, I feel like we don't take that power. We allow others to have it because of what we're seeing on social media and on the TV and everywhere else. And the third one is gaining a personal connection with someone that we identify as relatable to us. As I had mentioned before, we all just want to feel like we belong to something. And so we're going to find people relatable to us to try to belong with them.
Well, how does this all relate to character and identity formation? Maybe another way to say that is, why do you believe the power of social influencers is creating an identity crisis?
I think one of the biggest reasons is because of the amount of time we're spending on social media. If that's what we're surrounding ourselves with and the images that we're seeing, that's what we want to be like. We're lacking conversations and face-to-face interactions. We're hiding behind that social window. And so that's what we're seeing is social influencers. So of course that's who we want to be like, because that's what we're spending our time looking into.
Can you talk to me a bit about forming our identities and our character? Why does it matter if we follow social influencers a little bit more?
I think I don't want to say we should just throw social media users or social influencers under the bus, but we also need to be mindful about the things that they are posting. Are they posting and encouraging us to volunteer and give back to our communities? Or are they posting and encouraging us to try a new makeup product or a new food or a new restaurant? Yes, those are great, but at the end of the day, which one matters more?
We are formed by or informed by what and who we surround ourselves with. And when we surround ourselves with social influencers, or we spend so much time with social influence, that really is shaping the kind of person or our very character that we hope to grow in positive ways. So what can we do to move forward toward healthier identities, toward more positive character?
I think we can start by thinking about who we're surrounding ourselves by and what we're looking at. Our identity defines who and what we are and what makes us unique. And so if we are conforming to others, we're losing that piece of being unique. We're becoming just like someone else. We're losing that piece of our identity. And that's going to shape our character, because the things that we are doing and what makes us unique will then also encourage our morals and values and the things that we hold dear to our hearts.
You mentioned in there, when you're talking about things that shape us, you used an example about your son. Would you like to share that?
Yes. He had this little blanket when he was a baby. It was one of the first gifts that we received, and it had the cutest little monkey on it. And as time went on, that thing went everywhere. And so the middle piece kept getting ripped and torn, and it eventually, his babysitter when he was younger, sewed it into a few different images. And the blanket stayed the same, but it just transformed. And I think that's like our character too. When we're born, we have our character and identity, but it's then shaped by the environment around us. Just like his blanket was shaped by the different things that were happening to the blanket, it got reshaped, it got torn. We're kind of like a puzzle where we are a bunch of different puzzle pieces, and that makes up our character and identity. And those pieces get ruffled around and changed, but at the end of the day, it's still the same puzzle, and we're still the same person.
The end of the day, we are this person. That's a good reminder that we want to focus on the positive. We want to surround ourselves with healthy images, and perhaps think about how we use our time, even in terms of social media. You cite Turkhurst, who says, "The mind feasts on what it focuses on. What consumes our thinking will be the making or breaking of our identity." Such a good challenge for us in an age of media. Dr. Hein, do you have any last comments you'd like to make, or any last words?
I would say with that, we are conformed by what consumes us. We should be more mindful of the things that we are letting ourselves be consumed by. If we are constantly going to our phone and social media to feel better, or to whenever we're bored, that's what's going to conform us. We should be going and having those conversations with people, and more of that face-to-face interaction, and reading about things that are going to help us develop our character and our identity in those positive ways, rather than just looking to see what others are doing and being afraid of missing out. So we choose then to spend our time doing those things that they are doing, rather than the things that would shape our character for the better.
Molly, thank you for calling our attention to the growing power of social influencers to shape our character, our very identity, and to the need for us to set aside FOMO and take back control of the influences on us. Our guest today has been Dr. Molly Hein, Assistant Professor of Business, and I'm Annalee Ward for Character Explorations from the Wendt Center for Character Education at the University of Dubuque.
Thank you very much for having me.